Chair. Mr. Chair.
Sue Moroney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Clauses 1, 2, 3.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and it is indeed a pleasure to rise and speak in opposition to clauses 1, 2 and 3 of this Act, because it's quite misleading, in particular Part 2, the commencement, which has two commencement dates, one of the 1st of July 2013 and the other one on the 1st of January 2013. But I think that's quite misleading in terms of the big impact that this legislation, this proposed legislation, actually has. Because in fact, the major thing that it does, and the big blunder it makes for New Zealand, is that it removes the entry of agriculture into the emissions trading scheme. So the date that was in, or that is in the Act currently for the entry of agriculture into the emissions trading scheme will in fact be removed. And so the commencement dates are quite misleading, because when it comes to agriculture, there is no commencement date for the entry into the emissions trading scheme. And that will mean that on the international stage, our country will be seen to not be pulling its fair share. But worse than that, its international reputation will be damaged. The international reputation that has us world-leading in terms of agricultural products. That is why the marketplace out there wants to buy our goods, and in particular our dairy products. Not because we're the cheapest or because we're the largest mass producer. We will never win that race, Mr. Chair. We will never win that race. We're never going to be the largest producer. We're never going to be the cheapest. But we can be the best, and we can have the best quality, and in particular, we can trade on our clean green image. If it were not for the stupidity of this government, via this bill, to dump the biggest trading edge that we have when it comes to agricultural products. The biggest trading edge that we have is our reputation, our international reputation. You know that reputation that the Prime Minister treasures day in and day out by going after David Beckham so that he can annoy everyone in the UK with the stupidity of his comments. Jerry Brownlee annoying Finland and their neighbours about stupid comments with regard to that country. It seems that this government is hell-bent on ruining our international reputation rather than enhancing it. And this bill, I'm afraid, Mr. Speaker, is yet another example of this. Because while the title is indeed the Climate Change Response, Emissions Trading and Other Matters Amendment Act, I think it should be called the Climate Change Lack of Response. Because in fact, that is what this bill is proposing. The largest amount of emissions by any sector is through agriculture. And that is the main thing that this bill does, is it removes them from obligations and from having a financial incentive to actually lift their game when it comes to emissions trading. To actually emitting pollution. Agriculture is New Zealand's largest source of emissions. It generates 47 to 48% of our total all by itself. All by itself. And that is the sector that the government has delayed. Well, I say delayed in the hopes that it will eventually have a commencement date, but in fact they are removing the date completely from the Act. So is the government telling us that they never intend agriculture to be brought into the emissions trading scheme? Because they haven't proposed an alternative date. They've just gone silent on it. But isn't that just what New Zealanders are coming to expect from this government? That they have no plans. They have no plans in place. They just go silent. They just sit on their hands and do nothing. And that is not the way that they will produce the brighter future, the so-called brighter future, that they actually promised New Zealanders at the last election. And this bill, I think, shows exactly how devoid of ideas this government is for that actual brighter future that it promised. Because far from delivering a brighter future, this bill actually ensures that the government cannot meet its commitment to reduce emissions by 50%. in 2050. That is not the brighter future that they promised at the election. It is in fact a dirtier future.
Dr David Clark.